A town meeting held on the pros and cons of the Bahamas' accession to WTO. The Grand Bahama Power Company breaking ground for a $5 million solar investment. And progress being made on the new junior high school that's being constructed in the West.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening all. I'm Shashina Roll-Farquharson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news this evening, with the Bahamas' accession to the World Trade Organization on the horizon, a national discussion is taking place on its pros and cons. A town hall meeting to further the discussion on the WTO took place last evening for residents of East Grand Bahama. Ramiko Knowles has our top story.
Residents on East Grand Bahama getting a better understanding of the pros and cons associated with the Bahamas' ascension to the World Trade Organization. While there are those who may be opposed to the government's decision to join the WTO, there are also others who are eager to understand its benefits. Former Minister of Finance and Member of Parliament Shivago Lang is the chief negotiator and has been charged by the government to educate, inform, and lead a team of persons to negotiate the Bahamas' access to the World Trade Organization. Lang telling those in attendance how the WTO can bring about economic growth.
As the economy grows, the Bahamian consumers win. Bahamian workers would win because as the economy grows, you get employment and you get wage increase. Bahamian entrepreneurs would benefit. Bahamian young people would benefit. A modernized, efficient, more economically prosperous economy benefits young people. The Bahamian government would also benefit because a buoyant economy means that this minister don't have to raise taxes. He can get more taxes from a grown economy. And don't tell me it can't be done. From 1993 to 2015, every minister of finance walked into the House of Assembly and said, I am pleased to announce no new taxes or increases in taxes. And C.A. Smith and David Thompson and Shivago Lang went like this.
After discussing the pros, the Bahamian economic consultant stated the cons, noting that because of the lower duty rates, the government would lose an estimated $40 million in revenue. The Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable K. Peter Turnquest, addressing the concerns.
What the government did when we looked at our midterm budget for 3 years, we forecast out 3 years, we said, you know what, we increased the value-added tax to 12%, and what's that going to allow us to do? It's going to allow us to retire $375 million in bills that we've had and been carrying, rolling over from year to year from I was a child. We're going to pay that off. Once we've paid that off, now we've got our estimate, $100 million a year, that we can now give back to the Bahamian people. So they'll either come through these tariff reductions, or it'll be through some other tax rebate.
Dispelling some of the myths Bahamians have regarding the WTO, such as the government is being forced to join, free movement of labor, and the possibility of Walmart stores entering the market, trade consultant Ava Rodland says it is simply not true. Rodland says the common misunderstanding is that by joining the WTO, the Bahamas will lose its sovereignty.
The Bahamas signs treaties all the time. And signing a treaty, so this WTO is just a set of treaties that requires us to reform our economy, a set of international agreements. You as individuals sign you sign agreements all the time. If you go to the bank for a mortgage, you decide that it's in your benefit to get a mortgage, so you make an agreement with the bank to pay them on a monthly basis for your mortgage. Have you lost your sovereignty? No, you've exercised your sovereignty by saying the bank is going to offer me a benefit. I am going to enter into a contractual agreement with the bank because I decide to do so out of my free will because there is a benefit in it for me. You don't lose your sovereignty.
She says the WTO is a member-driven organization and that 95% of countries in the world have agreed that there is some benefit in joining.
How can you expect your salary to increase? How can you expect to get additional benefits? How can you expect to make more business if there's no additional money coming into your economy? You need economic growth. And a lot of times that means having foreign capital come in, having foreign direct investment come in. And sometimes you even have money in your own economy that's stagnant because Bahamian investors don't have the confidence in the performance of their economy to invest their money back in the economy, so they hold on to it, or they invest it in another country. So we want to get that money coming into the economy. So the more money you have into your economy, that means more job opportunities there are for Bahamians.
As it relates to foreign businesses coming into the country, Rodland says the government will have complete authority over the amount of access given to the Bahamas.
Being members of the GATT
Network News.
And the balance.
In other news, the Grand Bahama Power Company making a multi-million-dollar investment in solar development. The groundbreaking wrapping up a short time ago at the company's solar Sunrise power plant on West Sunrise Highway. Earlier today, our ZNS News team visited the grounds and spoke with the director of Grid Solution, who shares how this utility-scale solar energy plant will benefit Grand Bahama. It is a $5 million investment that officials at the Grand Bahama Power Company says give them the ability to add renewable resources to its fleet. The groundbreaking ceremony taking place earlier today attracted the nation's leader among other government officials and leaders of the Grand Bahama Power Company. Director of Grid Solutions, Delano Arthur, says much planning has gone into making this initiative a success.
We are installing over 11,500 panels on this ground today that will be able to use energy that is produced from the sun to power and generate energy to our homes.
And just how does this benefit you, the consumer?
It allows us to keep downward pressure on rates. The more energy that we use from the sun or from our renewable resources, it helps us to not be able to purchase fossil fuels from outside. So it helps us to manage and keep a downward pressure on our rates. The second is it allows us as a company to be a lot more greener, reduce carbon emissions, reduce greenhouse gases. So these are some of the things that we are doing to help displace carbon emissions in our community.
Arthur adds that many spin-off opportunities will come as a result of this multi-million-dollar investment.
We have contractors that are going to be placed. We have contractors that are going to be installing the solar panels. We have contractors that are clearing the site. We have contractors that are building the buildings. We have contractors that are doing basically everything, and it's all about investing in our community. So these projects also have a huge spin-off and a huge effect on the amount of dollars that go into the Grand Bahamian community.
Switching gears now, it's been almost 1 year since the government held a signing for Oban, the oil refinery and storage facility earmarked for East Grand Bahama. Well, since the signing, the project has been surrounded with controversy. In a recent interview with ZNS News, Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable K. Peter Turnquist, said that he could not give any definitive answers as to whether or not the project will move forward. But he does say that he believes that there is no need for concern.
The fact of the matter is that the government has taken a step back to look at this thing very holistically from the point of view of the economic development and opportunity and what it will contribute to the island, whether it is something that we want to proceed with in terms of the kind of installation versus maybe considering the touristic elements that are now developing on the island, whether we want to focus more on that.
The DPM noted that both parties involved are now going through a process where they are trying to determine what is best for Oban as well as the island of Grand Bahama.
We don't want to rush that process because, again, we want to make sure that we get it right. And I think the Prime Minister and the Minister who is leading that negotiation has said over and over that we will not rush the process, that we will make sure that we cross the T's and dot the I's to ensure that there is no question about what we do in respect to the project.
Grand Bahama welcoming another cruise ship recently. The ship from the United Kingdom brought hundreds of passengers on board. A plaque exchange took place between officials of the Freeport Harbor Company, the Ministry of Tourism, and Freeport Ship Services. Italia Hall reports.
Ventura is a P&O cruise ship, which is a part of Carnival's brand in the United Kingdom. The ship had just under 3,000 passengers on board and 1,200 crew members from 37 different countries. Captain Martin Banach says the ship is very popular in the UK.
Mainly based in Southampton in England, south of England, and this cruise, for example, that we are doing now, that's quite a long one, 35 nights, from Southampton around the Atlantic through Bermuda, Bahamas now, and then we're going to the United States and then back to the Caribbean and then back across Atlantic to England.
Cargo Operations Manager at the Freeport Harbor Company, Allery Turner, and Manager at the Ministry of Tourism, Nuvolari Chodasing, say having two sister ships on island within the same week is good news for Grand Bahama.
This is a positive for Grand Bahama Island. It opens the destination to new visitors and certainly attracts new ships coming to the island. So that is a positive for the island.
Today's ship has over 3,000 guests. The Aurora had, I think, 1,500. So if you add that up, that's quite a bit of passengers on island, unscheduled. So it means a lot of business for us. No matter how much or how little is spent, it all adds up for us.
Financial Controller at Freeport Ship Services, Danita Nixon, says this ship adds to the 1,600 passengers the Ariana brought to Grand Bahama earlier this year.
We're definitely excited that we're getting this exposure at such a short time, and actually the Ariana is scheduled to return in another 3 weeks. So definitely I'm sure this will put some boost into Grand Bahama's economy, which is much needed.
The four entities then took part in a short plaque exchange ceremony. It's Halia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. There's more news right after the break.